Call to order the special meeting of the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission, March 30th. You want me to continue through until you get to the, okay. Dean, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Michelle.
Commissioner Altamirano,
Hi.
Commissioner Hawkinson,
Yes. Hi.
Commissioner Kloss,
Here.
Commissioner Seals,
Here.
Commissioner Volkar,
Present.
and Commissioner Branneman.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Introduction of commissioners. Maybe if we'll start with Commissioner.
Sure. Hello. I'm Dean Hawkinson. New to the entire commission process. For the most part, I had a couple of sessions with the Housing Advisory Commission, and those were educational and fun. I work for the state government for the Department of Business Oversight, which is financial industry regulation. I'm an analyst, paralegal over there. I've lived in Broderick for 6 years. Have been a long time downtown musician, worked for the state. I've lived downtown for about the last 20 years. I include Broderick as downtown because that's where we're aiming to be, definitely. Bicycle commuter. I walked just now about 3 miles, so I'm sorry I'm a little sweaty from work. It's getting hot. The world is ending. No, I play music in a band, Be Brave, Bold Robot. And I like my Broderick neighborhood, pretty low income, very interesting, but I'm really enjoying taking part in West Sacramento, burgeoning West Sacramento, definitely.
Thank you.
My name is John Kloss. Kloss is my name, art is my game. I was a professional cartoonist all my life and syndicated comic strip artist. I teach at American River College, and to note what Dean is saying about the weather is that my family called up a little bit ago and said, don't you miss Pennsylvania, which I was originally from? We have 4 seasons. I said, we do too: fire, earthquake, flood, and drought. Fires will follow shortly because the drought's here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Altamirano. I've been a resident of West Sacramento since 2003. Started down in the Southport area, then I moved up to the Broderick area. Worked for State Compensation Insurance Fund. We're a workers' comp carrier. Been there for almost 25 years. I handle operations for the company. And what led me to this commission was just the arts. My daughters, they're 13 and 11 now, and they've always been in performing arts, theater, dance, and now I'm to the point where they're finally semi-independent, so it gives me an opportunity to give back. So I'm honored to be here.
Great.
My name is Ian Branneman, lifelong West Sacramento resident, currently an employee of the California Arts Council, and have 2 young children, 2 and 3-year-old daughters, and very excited to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Volkar. I'm a resident of Southport area. I've lived in West Sacramento for about 12 years now. I'm really excited. I was also previously a member on the Parks and Recreation Services Commission. But I'm excited to serve here, and I really would like to give back to the community. I think West Sacramento is a great area.
My name is Denise Seals. My day job, I'm the CEO of the West Sacramento Chamber of Commerce, which means we also run the farmers market every year. My husband David and I have been West Sacramento residents for about 14 years now. We live in the Southport area. I've been on this commission since shortly after its inception, I think maybe the year after, and was happy to participate in the public art policy and projects like the the master plan for the community center art. I really enjoyed this commission, and I'm excited to have you join us this year, to our new commissioners, because while it is true, we have conversations about public art, but it's also culture and historic preservation, which is really important in a community like ours, growing at the rate that it's growing. So I welcome all of you. 1C, election of commission chairs and vice chair.
This is the exciting part where we get to swear you guys in. If you could please stand and raise your right hand, and please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Denise Seals,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and that I will take this obligation freely
I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you very much.
So item 1C, election of commission chair and vice chair. This is an annual process that if there is a nomination for chair from the dais and a second, then we do a simple vote. Yes, Michelle? We good? Okay.
I'll move to nominate Denise Seals for chair.
I second that motion.
I third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition or discussion? Great. Thank you so much for the position of vice chair.
Rassel.
Well, I'd be happy to nominate John Kloss as vice chair. John, is that a position that you'd be?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or discussion? Excellent. This is an efficient group.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the commission. And I don't see any request to speak. So moving to the consent agenda, item number 2, approval of the minutes of the previous seated commission. I have just one change, Michelle. The regular meeting was called to, I did call the meeting to order. At that point, I was the vice chair. Gail was the chair.
So noted.
Yeah. John, do you have any other changes?
No, I have no changes.
Motion to approve? I need a motion to approve.
I motion to approve the minutes.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Done. Great. Moving to the regular agenda, item number 3, consideration of a National Endowment for the Arts grant and execution of an art selection process. Bob Johnson, Director of Parks and Recreation. Thank you.
There. Is that better? Yeah, good evening, and sorry for the lack of audience. The place is usually packed in here. It's like standing room only for these
only, yeah.
meetings. So hopefully, some new faces will bring in some people in the seats. I'm here to talk tonight, and I am going to be speaking on behalf of one of our project managers who couldn't be here tonight, we had a difficult time with spring breaks kind of all over the place. Staffs are pretty short, but I will get through this. I will do the best I can. I do have some additional information for you that's not in the staff report, so if you have any questions, I'll do the best I can. But the city of West Sacramento partnered with the city of Sacramento early last summer for a National Endowment of the Arts grant. And we were successful in receiving that grant. And the city's proceeds from that grant were just shy of $400,000. And then that required a $200,000 match. So what we have to do a project is roughly $600,000. And what's exciting about this is probably the largest public art project that at least I've been involved with, and I've been here for 11 years. And I think the one before that was probably the piece out at River Point by IKEA. I think that had a price tag of about $250,000. So this is pretty exciting. This falls outside of our traditional art selection process that you all would be very much involved in. When we get a minute, we'll try to get out some of the information to the new members, so you can kind of familiarize yourself with our public art policy and how that works and how that's funded. Currently, within our public art fund, we have just under $60,000. It's $59,900 and some change. That money is really it's designed, every time the city does a public project, 1% of the contract costs for that public project goes into the art fund. We haven't done too many projects, and there's money dribbling in, but we hope as the economy gets better, we'll do more projects, and we'll see that fund actually grow a little bit. This project falls a little bit outside of that in that we have about a 1-year delivery time to actually deliver a $600,000 project. So the city is contracted with an art consultant, so we'll be working with her on identifying artists, sending out requests for proposals. What I'd like to talk about the commission tonight is how you see your role in the process. This commission meets once a quarter, and so in a year's time, you're probably going to want to have more involvement in that than we see, with your current schedule. So really tonight was to kind of introduce you to the grant, talk a little bit about the process, and then turn it over to you guys to discuss how you might want to be involved. And I know in the past we've used subcommittees. We can have a couple of members from the commission. We can get an outside person to serve on that. Usually a staff person or two will sit on that. And then we could actually set up some time to do individual meetings with the consultant about how we're going to proceed. And then that subcommittee would report back to the commission during their regularly scheduled meetings. And so that's something that you may want to consider as well. The information is in the grant or is in the staff report, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
I have a question, Bob.
Sure.
When does the clock start ticking? Did it start ticking already?
It's already ticking. Yeah, it's already ticking. We were notified of the award of this grant in late January, and so with the holiday break and then getting back off the holiday break and trying to get caught up, we're just now getting to this. And did we have an Arts Commission meeting when we were
We have
supposed
one
to?
in December. Well, when were these minutes?
Yeah, I don't recall when the last Arts Commission meeting
We
was.
had a December 15th
Okay.
Arts Commission meeting.
Yeah. So we would have missed that. So that's why there's been some work done on this. The clock is ticking, and we are moving forward. And this has really been our first opportunity to get this before you guys. So.
Who's the woman that you chose to be?
Her name is Shelley Willis,
Shelley Willis.
and I don't have a background on her, but I'm sure at some point we'll have her in to meet you guys and introduce herself to you.
And, I have a lot of artist friends, and a few sculptors come to mind immediately for metal sculpting.
Right.
4 cool art pieces. How would that, my input factor in?
I think you could contact myself or contact Denise as the chairman, or contact Michelle and we'll make sure that information gets to the consultant.
Artist recommendations and,
And so, John, do you have any questions?
I wonder if the grant goes to one artist for concept linking the two sides of the river, and if so, is it up to the artist to decide what that is, or it's so important that with the money at stake, it would have to be a group discussion as to what that should look like, and
Well,
where the artist do it?
Yeah, I think the model, you bring up a good point, sort of the theme. You know, what are we looking at? Are we looking at some sort of theme? The grant is for sort of the purchase of the art piece, the installation of the art piece, and then some type of landscaping or something around it. So that's really all we have at this point. And the theme of that, or what we might want that to look like, or how that's going to relate to what's going on across in Sacramento, that's kind of undetermined at this point. And I don't have that information, but that's one of the first things we'd find out in sitting down with the consultant.
Would we have any, would we be taking feedback from Sacramento as far as what we're going to be doing?
No, I
So
think
are
our...
we working in conjunction, or are we kind of separate and just?
Well, I think because we were both awarded grant money, I'm sure we're going to continue to work in conjunction with each other. But really, this is our separate funding to do what we'd like to do on our side of the river. Yeah.
Any questions, Anthony? I have a few.
I'm sure you do.
So in the staff report, it talks about one artist that's going to be selected to do 2 pieces on our side of the river. Is that correct? It also talks about the funding being, so I guess the funding is going to the Crocker as the nonprofit? Is that, and then the Crocker is going to, is that how I read this?
No, I don't believe that's true.
They were named as it says the Crocker Museum will serve as a 501c3 required
Yeah,
partner.
it was all part of the, I'm not sure the funding's going to go to the Crocker. I think we get the funding. We have to come up with the match.
How much was the total grant, do you know?
Yeah, it was 400,000. The grant was 400,000, just shy of
Both sides of
400,000.
the river, 400,000?
I'm not sure I don't know what Sacramento's was.
It says West Sacramento right here.
Yeah, West Sacramento's. I'm not sure what the Sacramento portion of that was. Yeah.
So it's one grant, one big grant. The Crocker is a 501c3, and $400,000 of it comes here, and the rest of the big grant we don't know about for the other side of the river?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we match it
And then $200,000 are coming out of the Community Service District from the
Right.
Bridge District.
from the Bridge District, yes.
This map, so where are these 2 installations coming off the Tower Bridge and going down the Tower Bridge Gateway?
Yeah, this is the site area for the grant. So it encompasses, a portion of Raley Field, and then it goes all the way down to Capitol Square.
So I'm wondering, so some of them are purple and some of them are orange. Do you know which one of these are our
I'm
2?
not sure what the different colors signify. Yeah, when I asked for the information, this was the only piece of information, and these were location. I'm not sure the difference between the orange and the purple, but we can get back to you.
I'm just wondering, because if it's 2 on this side of the river, it looks like there are 2 purple place savers along the Riverwalk. Is that the intention for this first installation, or,
I
is it
think
going
that's that's yet to be determined.
oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, where we're gonna try to site that, and I think that's what we'd be looking to this commission for.
So we would help with the
Yeah, I think
feedback.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'd like your feedback
And
on
then,
it.
does that go into the general fund, into the part, so the $400,000, the $600,000, it goes,
Yeah, it generally
it
comes
doesn't come
in.
into the public art fund?
No, it does not come into the public art fund, and it doesn't come into the general fund. What happens is we have a grants sort of administrator upstairs, and then that money would come into that office, and then it would be distributed, once we get a contractor, an artist, when the artist takes draws and draws that down, it all goes through a special department up in the finance department.
And it's really it's $600,000 for this side of the
Total.
river. Total, for two pieces.
Yeah, and again, I don't know the specific parameters of the build, of the actual build. I think it's going to come down to the timing and what what we're able to do and really what we want to do. If we want to make a big statement or we want to make, a couple of smaller statements. So again, I can tell you that the discussions to this point have been for one large installation, something that's really going to show some, pizzazz, a nice big art piece.
Okay.
Not what the new arena downtown's getting for $6 million,
Nothing to say
but,
about that. Public
We
art
could
should
do
be
better than that.
controversial. It
Yeah,
starts
we'll do better
conversations.
We'll do better than that.
yeah.
So it talks about one artist that will create two pieces, oh, I see, on each side of the river respectively. Okay, but
Yeah,
not,
Yeah,
okay.
but they don't have to be matching or bookends or anything like that. I think we get to, we'll have some say in how we want to do this, but, perhaps they need to complement each other. I'm not sure.
Was KDJ able to give you any insight into the timeline?
We have to have this completed by April of next year. So we have 12 months. Yeah.
And because it doesn't go through our public art fund, then the criteria for selection of the artists on our side of the river is not bound by that either, correct?
It's not bound by that, but we're going to work as hard as we can to get this group plugged into that process.
Could somebody explain what CFD 27 funds,
That's
that stands for?
it's like a special financing district in a developed area. So as I understand it, this is for the Bridge District. Basically, they paid into it and then they draw out of it,
Oh, okay, the citizens, the residents of that area
the developers.
do that? Oh, the developers, okay.
Yeah.
All
So
for-
it's not a tax, it's not,
Yeah.
it's like an infrastructure financing district, but I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's
what
a,
the
it's
C
a,
stands
it's
for.
a, it's a facilities maintenance district, basically. And what that is property owners, and once people move in, they will be paying a contribution, but right now, there's few people that live over there, so it's really being funded by all the property owners collectively, Rayleigh Field and all the other collective property owners in the area. But it's basically, since Prop 13 years ago, cities haven't been able to raise property tax, so they've used a number of different methods to try to increase service levels in areas without having to raise property tax. And so some places refer to them, or, there's lighting and landscape districts, there's park maintenance districts, and there's community facilities districts, and that's what this is. So there's money coming in to pay for these things. A certain amount goes to maintenance of the roads and the sidewalks and the parks. A certain amount can go to art,
Okay.
and that's what this is.
So it's not general fund money, it's not coming out
Yeah.
of the city's coffers.
Direct
It's
from the city.
self-funded by the
yeah.
property owners.
Okay. Who has oversight over that? Some board that the property
No,
owners
it's
decide
gen-
on, or the city?
Yeah, it's the city,
city,
and it's generally the city's finance department.
Okay. Community Facility District.
Mm-hmm.
What's the 27? Is that a marker of just that region or of that specific CFD?
Yeah, we have, how many do we have? 27? Is that the newest one? 20? Yeah. So I think, throughout the city, we have at least 27, because we know this one's 27. This is one of the newest ones formed, so I'm not familiar with all of them, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that explanation.
you bet.
Yeah, Bob, a quick question. Do you envision the subcommittee meeting maybe once a month or less frequent than that?
I would think at least once a month, or whenever there's new information available that we'd like to get some input on. I would think, given the scale of this project and the timeline, I think we'd want to meet, as much as we needed to meet.
I guess, I'm thinking of the diplomatic way to say that. Shelley Willis is extremely qualified and will do an excellent job. Having said that, with this amount of money, I think it's really important that there are several voices from the arts community, not just from West Sacramento, but from Yolo County, from Yolo as well. When we, the public arts policy that we developed years ago, we used Danny with the Yolo Arts, and it just feels like that voice should be included in this conversation for our side of the river. So I don't typically, there can be no more than 2 of us, correct?
Yeah, we can't, yeah.
Because, okay,
Yeah.
but there should be at least someone from Yolo, in my opinion, and the commission would need to concur, but there should be, Danny should be involved from Yolo Arts as well, to remind us that there's a regional conversation that happens on this side of the river with art.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Yeah, we can certainly consider that. No reason why we can't.
I'd be happy to sit on that task group. I don't know if there's, or if there,
I would love to also.
okay, so that's 3 of us, but we can only have 2.
You can rotate, maybe.
We just can't have a quorum, right? Is that the,
Or can we have 3?
yeah, I'm thinking we
You
can.
can have 2 and an alternate. What we can't do is have 4 or more of you on
Okay.
the subcommittee.
So 3 is good, 2 and an alternate. And will you extend an invitation, or?
Absolutely.
Is there discussion around this? What do you think? It's kind of a lot to jump into, and we're talking a little bit in jargon and code, but,
Yeah, if the input is, if this Danny guy from Yellow Arts Commission.
Woman.
What? Woman, sorry.
That's all right.
would have input about artists that weren't in West Sacramento proper, then that
she could
makes
help
some
facilitate a
sense.
call for artists on our side, certainly. But she's been pretty key in helping us develop our public art policy, and has a lot of the institutional memory skill around that process, and has been involved with a couple of our installations, including some of the public art at the Yolo County at the Arthur Turner Library here, so.
My question would be, what exactly would this subcommittee be doing? Deciding on which artists, how much each one would get,
Doesn't sound
monitoring
like-
the process?
I don't know that we're empowered to do that at this point.
No, typically what happens, the way the process will work is, I'm sure there's going to be some preliminary discussion as far as the vision, what we talked about earlier, and, what we want to see in that. And then they will put out a call to artists. And if we have, some names of some people that you guys know, that's great. We can get those to the consultant. She'll send out a call for artists. And typically what they do is they invite them to submit some example of their work, be it photos or statues or something. And then this group will have a chance to review those.
This greater group or the smaller
It
group?
really depends on the timing, I think. We can do a special meeting. We'd like to not do, very many of those if we can help it. And we may even, we may ask the consultant to narrow it down to a short list and bring in 4 or 5 pieces that then we can bring back and show you guys for input. I'm sure the property owners in the Bridge District are going to want some input into the process. So not sure of how that review is going to work, but again, like I said earlier, we want to get at least the subcommittee involved in as much as we possibly can with that process.
And then is this a contract that council would need to approve? Or is it just,
It's a good question. I don't know if the council needs to, typically the council has to approve construction contracts, and so depending on how this, I would think at least from a footing and foundation standpoint for something, unless this is something that's kind of constructed, I don't know. I envision some big tall piece that's going to sit on a pedestal, but it may be something totally different. It could be,
Do you see yourself in bronze? Is that what you're saying?
I don't see myself in bronze, but I was actually thinking about a reuse of the, the water tower that we've been challenged with that needs painting and stuff. Maybe we could do something like that if it falls in the area. But anyway, yeah.
I had another thought that's not related to this.
So do we have a decision? It sounds like we're recommending that there be a group of these commissioners tasked with forming a subcommittee to work with, in whatever way may be deemed appropriate, with the consultant, Shelley Willis from across the river, as it relates to the investment and the installation of a public art piece as part of this NEA grant on our side of the river.
Yes.
And I heard 3 names, 2 and an alternate, and you'll reach out to Danny.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to, is that an action item? Is there a motion then?
Sounded like you made it.
Did I?
You want to make it again?
So I move all of that. Yeah,
I second that.
okay, we have a second.
Okay.
Any further discussion, any questions, feedback?
Would we get an opportunity, us here in this main commission, to speak to this Shelley Willis person, maybe at the next meeting or something?
Yeah.
It sounds like they're,
Yeah,
our
I'd like
next
to
meeting
have-
is June.
Yeah.
Right.
So there might have been a couple of successful meetings and then a presentation
Yeah.
maybe with a little more.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I think you'll see this for the next 4 meetings at least, probably.
I have a question that's really been burning inside of me for the past 6 years. The old neon signs that lined West Capitol.
Could we set that aside until,
Yeah.
while the motion's on the table?
Sure thing.
And we have a second, so discussion and conversation related to this topic. I think we answered the question about, yes, it'll come back, and the broader group will,
Yeah.
yeah. Are there any other questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? So moved. Recommended.
Okay, here we go. We're off.
We're off.
Those neon signs, what happened to those? Why were those taken down?
So can we, if we have opportunity
Oh,
in
sorry.
items coming up, and that's a good question, and we can provide a lot of
Okay,
information
sorry.
about that. But the next item on the agenda is item number 4, consideration of resolution 1501, setting the time, date for the 2015 regular meetings of the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission.
Good evening, and real quick, on that last motion, who did the second?
I did.
Okay, all right.
And are we clear on
Michelle?
the language of the motion?
It was Commissioner Altamira,
Altamirano.
Yes, he did the second. Yes, okay.
Can you repeat the names of the 2 primary members of the subcommittee and the alternate?
So myself, and I don't know how we determine the rest of it. One of you guys want to be an alternate, and one of you want to be
Yeah, I'll be the alternate.
you'll be the alternate, so Ian will be the alternate.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good you keep us on our toes. We didn't get that far. Item 4.
Good evening. Well, you've talked about meetings that are upcoming. You've mentioned the meeting in June, and you've talked a little bit about any special meetings, but what we need to do is we need to have the commission set the schedule for meetings for the rest of the calendar year. On page 2 of your agenda, in the resolution, it lists March 30th being today, June 29th, September 28th, and December 14th. Meetings are proposed to be at 6 p.m. On the last Monday of the quarter, and that's what these dates correspond to. So knowing that there still may be the need for a special meeting to be called, the request is that the commission would approve the proposed meeting schedule as indicated in the staff report.
I have a motion to approve the calendar.
Can I just ask one question? So on the attachment that we received on May 25th, it notes a meeting.
Which attachment are you referring to?
calendar
The
for
calendar,
May.
okay.
It does.
So that meeting would probably not be taking place, it would be the June 29th meeting. Is that correct, Michelle? Yes. Good call, good
Yeah,
catch,
this-
good eye.
I think this was a special meeting, and it kind of threw it
Threw the
off.
schedule off.
But there wouldn't be a meeting on the 25th,
Yeah.
and instead you would see it on the 29th.
Right.
And part of me in wondering, because whether or not a May meeting might be better because of June being a lot of holiday traveling anyway, and
Typically, for purposes of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andre, but for purposes of staff scheduling and all of the other commissions that they work with, we set a regular schedule, and then we might have a special meeting. But it enables an efficient use of staff time.
That is correct.
So I second your motion.
I don't-
There's no further
I don't know if there was a motion.
All motion.
Okay, so Ian, and seconded by Jose. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Commission calendar. Item number 5, general administration function. So I think we dealt with the printed materials, the calendar. Future item requests. Dean?
Well, I just had a question that might be up for discussion. Does anybody know why those neon signs were taken down? And 2, an idea would be to maybe get a few of those back if they still exist to have as an installation, because I know that I, for one, anybody who has been downtown for more than maybe 10 years or more would remember those and appreciate those. There's definitely a large love of that mid-century neon art deco thing, kind of.
The neon signs came down as a result of the city's sign ordinance, which was passed by council over a decade ago, and then very, very patiently grandfathered in as the efforts to institute the West Cap Streetscape program. But the sign ordinance is citywide.
Is it a height thing?
It was a height and size, and you'll notice it's a lower visibility monument-type sign. The neon was the property of the property owners.
Yeah.
So at that time, there was quite a bit of interest about, oh my gosh, how do we save all this cool neon? Some of it was destroyed by sign companies, some of it the property owners kept. And I heard a rumor that the city may have some of it, but I don't know if that's that. Yes, you do? No.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, we don't have much. I think we have what we were able to salvage from the Capitol Bowl sign. And it's currently in a storage yard that the city has off Harbor.
One of items for future agendas, and, the conversation about a special meeting might be a really good idea, given an enthusiastic commission, the majority of which are joining us as new members of the commission, and some historical, just background information that would be so helpful if we could time a meeting with after the subcommittee meets, the consultant from across, for this big grant, but also maybe just a short workshop presentation on our art policy. I'd be interested, and I think it would be interesting, and Bob and I talked about this earlier, about neon, as it turns out, Dean. I bet you this group would be really interested from a historic preservation standpoint as well, to see a presentation, or to get an update on. There is a West Cap master plan. It goes all the way down to Harbor. And it's definitely, there are there was a couple of conversations about projects with neon and how, and maybe that even works if we can, maybe that's what we want to do on our side of the river with this grant money, who knows? But it would require some pulling it out and dusting it off and taking a look at it, because it was part of redevelopment when it was done. But it's a cool piece. It kind of extends the vision past Jefferson
You're
down.
talking the master plan?
The West Cap Streetscape program, yeah.
When was that master plan voted or made, or, not the city master plan?
No, the
yeah.
West Cap, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I want to say 2003, 2004.
Huh.
You know, getting back to the neon, one of the things we do have, and one of the things that we did have the foresight to do, was go out and photograph every neon sign that at one time existed up and down West Capitol Avenue prior to them being removed. So even though we don't have the original signs, and even if we did have the original signs, the art piece would be so huge because this, you know, so one of the thoughts was, well, let's take the photos, let's recreate each sign, but maybe scale them down. So perhaps we could have one tree with a bunch of, you know, one big post with a bunch of signs off of it, or some,
Yeah.
you know, again, I mean, nothing's landed, but these
Yeah.
were just some of the earlier ideas.
We
But
have at
do
least resources available to us to consider.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, old neon is pretty fragile.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
That'd
I
be
mean, it-
tricky. Somebody just throw some rocks at it and break it or something, but.
Well, no, I mean, the old stuff that came down off the buildings. By
Oh,
the time it'd
yeah.
been in storage for 10 years, who knows?
Yeah, I know that the Chinese food place, they, I think, have their sign still somewhere. And, yeah, if it did come to pass that one of the art installations could have to do with these neon signs, maybe it wouldn't cost too much money to buy it from the few previous owners of the properties. That's a thought, yeah.
One of the, and thank you for the update on the current balance in the Public Art Fund. That was good to know. We've talked for a couple of meetings, is there an anticipated maintenance budget that needs to come out of that Public Art Fund for the pieces that we've already installed? And is there a plan then for the McGowan Bridge or any of I know we approved in theme the Joey Lopes Park, but, you know, any other
art projects
potential installations on the radar?
coming up? Joey Lopes Park was one. There's also maybe it's not a large opportunity, but if you've seen any of the press releases, we did just secure a $150,000 grant from Disney to do a playground, and oftentimes they do include some art component with that as part of their installs, and we're exploring that right now. We don't have those details, but that may be something that may be coming up. And then with the exception of this pretty significant piece, nothing's on the horizon. And I think I reported to the commission a while ago, we did get some cost estimates on repainting the water tower. And I want to say off the top of my head, it came in over $100,000 to actually go up and repaint that with everything they'd need, the lifts, and so it was quite a bit more than what our budget had. So I think, you know, we'll be considering some different ways to maybe look at that, or wait till we get more money in the fund.
So would it be possible to consider a special meeting sometime before June?
Yeah, I was going to suggest a couple of things. One of the things we've done with some new members, with some new commission members on the Parks and Recreation Board, is we've actually, myself, sometimes staff, have met with a couple of commissioners and the chairman of the commission, and have done lunch and sort of a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Orientation, trying to bring some of the new members up to speed. And that way we do it informally. We don't have to call a meeting. That's how we've done that in the past. We're
That sounds like a
happy to
great idea.
consider a special meeting, but
It's-
sometimes it's a little easier to do it you know, informally, even though we don't have the benefit of the full commission, but we're happy to, you know, have 2 or 3 of those meetings, whatever it would take to accommodate.
I like that idea.
That would be great. I know that part of council's goal in reorganizing the commissions is to have active, engaged commissioners working on, you know, projects that add some value to the community. And so I think for that to be the most effective, we need to bring everybody up to, you know, to speed on some of the historic, it's been a decade now, and so stuff's happened. And it's great to have everyone join us, so then what would the plan be moving forward?
Do you want us to consider a special meeting to do that, or would you like to set up the smaller meetings? We can go either way.
I like the smaller meetings idea.
Yeah, I do
That
too.
would be great, I think.
I think that's a great idea.
I mean, we set up some dates.
Yeah, so we'll get back to you. We'll probably do, well, whatever we can legally do and have everybody in the same room. We'll, and then we can have some background materials. Typically, we put a packet together that would have the art commission or the public art strategy and the art plan and those sorts of things.
That art master plan you're talking about from 10 years ago, is that on the website?
It's not. It's probably on a city website somewhere. It's the West Cap streetscape. It was a project of redevelopment. Redevelopment's been gone for 4 years now. So it's a ways back, but it has some valuable information. It'd be just good for us to take a look at, especially as we move forward on this new project.
Yeah, I mean, if I was just directed to places where I could read some things, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll research. We'll find out. Okay.
Okay, so we'll plan some meetings, so we'll probably look at that. Let us look at the calendar, and we'll get some stuff out to see who's available when,
Great.
put those together.
Great.
Thank you.
We're good? Any other discussion requests for items for future agenda?
I have a discussion I'd like to just put out to the committee. This is about preserving monuments of the past. If you look at your map and you see the 4 stars in a row, they're orange in a row. The 2 stars in the center on our side, there are 16 sycamore trees that were planted in World War II to beautify our side of the river. And so I think as a matter of historic preservation, we should be concerned with those 16 trees which were slated to be taken down. The developer there built apartments, and there were protests that stopped the cutting of those trees. The developer gave the city, I think, over $100,000 because they paid for each tree to come down. They're not elderly trees where they're going to die anyways. Arborists have, but in talking to the protesters, they stopped the cutting of the trees. There's going to be garages put in all the way down that row, which I didn't understand why we wouldn't be concerned with that. So I thought I would make the committee aware that I don't think there's a guarantee that those trees wouldn't be coming down. That was 1 year ago when the pickets stopped the cutting of the trees, but they're quite beautiful 5-story sycamores, 16 in a row.
You would be encouraging the commission to, as we look at placement of a installation of public art, that we would take into consideration some of the existing, in that block.
Yes,
Okay.
but as importantly, that the trees are public art, and they're part of the history of the side of the river. So I wouldn't understand why garages would look better than the trees themselves. There's a pause on those trees, but I would like to find out what is the plan for those trees and make it a matter of concern for the board. It shouldn't be up to private citizens to educate us in that situation. We should be involved as well.
So for a future agenda item. Okay?
Yeah,
we
we'll
can have
schedule somebody from the
come in and
planning
talk
department
about
to
it.
come in and talk about that project specifically in the history, and that's been fairly well vetted. It's been before planning commission, city council, so, but we can have somebody come in and do an update.
John, can you tell us who planted the trees and then who was protesting?
Well, the trees were planted generation or two ago.
You
but,
said to commemorate World War II or something?
No,
Or there
no,
wasn't
I
a
think they were
ceremony?
planted in that
during
era.
that era, oh, right, right,
Yeah,
okay.
Depression
Yeah.
era, World War II era. That's right in that corridor. And if you
It-
go
it-
over there and see, they're lovely, but to put garages there too, I'd say, well, what about art and beautification,
Oh, no.
preservation?
They
That's
sound
important.
like huge, wonderful trees that would ruin the streetscape, I think.
It's right
to
across
cut
from
them
Rayleigh
down.
Field. I'm not sure whether that's attractive.
It's
enough.
that whole block where they have the new development there?
It's the whole block.
Yeah,
It's a long block.
yeah, it's good. I love big trees.
So we'll look forward to perhaps a report from someone from planning to kind of bring us up to speed about what the property owner has decided to do with their trees. Okay. Anything else for future agenda items?
I had a meeting to volunteer with 916 Inc., which is a nonprofit out of Sacramento, and they go to schools mostly in lower-income neighborhoods and have after-school programs where they get kids to write short stories and then publish books with those short stories in them to make the kids feel confident and like writers and things. And they're getting pretty big. They have like 12 schools in Sacramento, several juvenile, what's the word, where you, juveniles who are out of juvenile hall, who are trying to better themselves at facilities like that. They have those programs. And I asked them if they had any West Sacramento ties, and they're about to do something at the teen center that's on Merkley, and it's going to be closely tied with the Rotary Club there, who I think will act as a facilitator for funds to come to 916 Inc. But as far as going forward in 916 Inc., coming to schools in West Sacramento, who would that discussion be had with?
That'd be a conversation, I mean, and please correct me, but my guess is that would be a conversation with Washington Unified School District
Right.
or any of the charter schools that are here
Okay.
in our community. Some of them have more flexibility. Several of them are listed coincidentally on the Chamber's website, and you could look charter school and
Okay.
contacts for Washington Unified School District.
Okay, thanks.
We good?
I'm good.
Great. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Unanimous. So adjourn.